It's all of Jacob's favorites in one place. Entertainment starts at free with Flex, included with Xfinity Internet.
Get started with Xfinity Internet for only $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement. And get a Flex 4K streaming box free. Plus, ask about Wi-Fi speeds faster than a gig. Offer ends September 30th. So go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay. Restrictions apply. New Performance Starter Plus customers only. Equipment taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Gig-speed Wi-Fi requires gigabit internet and compatible X.Dot gateway. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Default subscription required.
Xfinity, proud partner of Team USA.
Walking down these aisles of possibility, running your finger on that marble top Allen & Roth vanity, regularly $5.99, but now $3.49, and finding that perfect rattan pendant at an everyday low price of $99.98. In our showrooms of style, you'll find whatever you're into at a price you'll really get into. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate at Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 8/29/21. U.S. only.
And what keeps the champion smiling is that we have the opportunity to make you more comfortable, living up to our promise to be trustworthy, on time, and keep you worry-free. Keeping you cool when it counts and warm when you need it. Plus, we get to see you.
For a limited time at Service Champions Heating and Air Conditioning, get a comprehensive AC tune-up, plus a free water heater safety inspection for just $88. Call 888-I'm-HAPPY.
I'm here to offer you a great opportunity with Garner Roofing. Our company is looking for roof repair experts, journeyman roofers, inside and outside sales, and many other positions. We offer generous benefits, paid time off, and a competitive salary. Journeyman roofers can make up to $75K plus. Works for me. Visit GarnerRoofingInc.com/employment. GarnerRoofingInc.com/employment. Got it. A job with Garner Roofing will have you up and ready to tackle Monday with a smile. Mondays still suck though, but not as bad.
We all have wished at one time or another if we could just do two things at the same time. Well, if you're about to refinance or purchase a new home, here are two things you should absolutely do at the same time. Apply with at least two lenders. Mark Tice here from HMS Capital. Having two loans processed at the same time accomplishes a couple of important things. First, it maintains continuing competition for you, the customer, right up to the finish line. This results in a lower interest rate that saves you money. Second, it improves your chances of a successful transaction by eliminating the dependence on a single lender. HMS Capital requires no advance fees to apply, there's no appraisal fee, and no credit fee. With our razor-sharp interest rates, we are completely confident that no matter how many lenders you apply with, we will win your business. So call HMS Capital today and let us show you how doing two things at once really can save you money. Call HMS Capital at 833-255-5698. 833-255-5698.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys around the country, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, of course. We love you in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys across the country, in the land of the free and the home of the brave and the beautiful. August the 2nd, 2021, Grando Deportes, bonjour. The Vidi Vidi Vici, he came, he saw, he conquered. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars never stop arriving. Also, all around the world, just say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce myself and Big C as the sports leaders, and I really do appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. It's good to have a smart TV. You'll be sitting there looking at that third picture. Man, I love pausing, but I also love cheering. And I will never pause, but I will always cheer our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You could definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones, even if that loved one is you. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run king Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C sent you. The goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, helping to put people back to work, just like McDonald's does it, Nike does it, car dealerships are doing it, sports teams are doing it, watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to BigCSports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, proud sponsors of the Big C Sports Podcast, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. Also, I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, "Let there be light." Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on your game. It tastes great with the Big C Burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. My goodness, a lot of crowds were hitting deep all over the weekend. A lot of baseball stadiums were jam-packed here in Northern California, seeing the first place San Francisco Giants take on the second place, at least record-wise, Houston Astros. Dusty Baker was back in town doing his thing, and the Giants took that series 2-1. Some NBA news brought to you by my son Malcolm, my stats guy for Big C Sports. Lowry is going to Miami, 3 years, $90 million. If I can do my math, let's see, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, see, that's 4. It's going to take a lot longer to count, but it's $30 million a year for you good old boys that are trying to count. It's $30 million a year for Lowry. And now Lonzo Ball, I remember a couple of years ago, his father was around the country, and he was stomping for his son. He was telling everybody how great his son was. They came out of some high schools in Southern California. I think it was Chino Hills. My son first told me about that. Lonzo Ball, and then his brother Melo Ball. They have a lot of brothers that do it's like 3 of them that went on to play pro ball. But Lonzo Ball signs with the Chicago Bears. Not the Chicago Bears. I'm ready for some football. He may sign with the Bears, but he signs with the Chicago Bulls with 4-year, $85 million. $85 million. And that's a lot to cheer about. 4 years, $85 million. That's a lot of money. What did the great Sam Jackson say? What's in your wallet? Not $85 million yet. How about $6 billion, Sam Jackson? All fair and love of war. And then the great Chris Paul had a 2-0 lead with the Phoenix Suns over the eventual world champion Milwaukee Bucks. And he stays in Phoenix with an earth-shattering, you ready for the drum roll? It is a 4-year, up to $120 million for losing the NBA championship. That's not what he's getting in his State Farm commercials. As a good neighbor, State Farm is there. A good neighbor brings you $120 million. He might want to thank his agent for that. A lot of good boys are just going to the bank, bringing in money, and it's nice to bring it to you on the Big C Sports Podcast. Really appreciate everything that's going on in the world of Big C Sports. That's a lot of money for a lot of good boys. Oftentimes, think about Magic Johnson, the Hall of Famer, 5 NBA World Championships. He signed $25 million over his career. Not including endorsements, but $25 million. Guys are getting that in 1 year. When you think about it, guys are getting that kind of money in 1 year. Chris Paul, he's going to be 40 years old at the end of this. 40. I guess 40 is the new 20. But he's going to be 40 years old at the end of this, up to $120 million. And if you can get the money, get it. Because the guy writing the check is not worried about losing sleep at night. Like, I don't sleep. I've been sleeping about 3 hours a night. But I'm up praying and doing a lot of other things. And just lining things up with the universe. That's how I talk to God. But I've been praying. I get about 3 hours of sleep a night. And these men that are great basketball players, great ambassadors, at least Chris Paul is. He's much more an ambassador to NBA than Lonzo Ball is, and also more than Kyle Lowry. But the $120 million is $30 million a year. And that's a lot of money, and he deserves every penny And last I heard, they were paying him in pennies. So don't let them pay you in Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin goes up and down like a roller coaster. All fair and level war. But now that gives Phoenix and Monty Williams stability as they're trying to get back to the top of the Western Conference and maybe back to the NBA Finals. I don't see where they're going to get back to the NBA Finals, not with the Lakers going to be rebuilding. They've already added the great Russell Westbrook to their franchise, and they're still making some moves. Golden State Warriors going to get the Splash Brothers back. They still may make some more noise in NBA tradies. And, Denver, they have the last year's, MVP for some people. Nikola Jokic, I never thought he was the MVP. Anyone that can see how Giannis played the finals compared to Jokic, there's no way you can see that Jokic is a better MVP for the league than Giannis. But everybody has their own opinion about that. And you also have, so you got Denver doing their thing, coming back next year. You always got to look at Utah, but they're always a team that gets knocked out. I still like the Clippers, depending on what they're going to decide on. I mean, there's a lot of teams that you got to just try to compete with. Dallas is going to be very strong with that great good old boy, Luka Doncic down in Texas. They're going to be strong. So I don't really see an opportunity for Phoenix to get back to the mountaintop. But as when you get $120 million, you said, I've seen the promised land. It had $120 million with it. It's all fair and level war. I really think that Chris Paul is obviously, he's a staple for a franchise in Phoenix that hadn't been to the playoffs in many, many years, and now they get back to the finals in first time in almost three decades. So I really appreciate what Chris Paul has meant to the world of sports, and he's going to keep meaning more and more to the world of sports. So that's our talk on what's going on in the world of NBA basketball. There's so much talk about players in the NBA and what they're going to do with the NBA news. NBA news is always, we just crowned the finals last week. They're still cleaning up the streets in Milwaukee because a lot of good boys didn't know how to find a bathroom, so they did the best thing they could. They used the restroom on the floor. I guess they thought, hey, is it good enough for a buck to do it? Why not a human being? It's all fair and level war. But when you think about it, there's a lot of good old boys. This year's free agency period is going to kick off Monday today at 6 o'clock p.m. East Coast time out here on the West Coast. Get a little bit later. And it's going to run up until Friday at 12:01 p.m. East Coast time. Many players are going to agree to long-term contracts before that's done. And when you look at some of the biggest winners and losers of the 2021 NBA draft, NBA free agency, full list of signings through 2021, just some guys to keep up with. And my son Malcolm let me know, who's an NBA aficionado, who runs the AAU stats, and also for his college, involved in the athletic department. And so Jared Allen agrees to a 5-year, $100 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Lonzo Ball agrees to a 4-year, $85 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. Or as some of the good old boys in Chicago say, after they had a few too many libations, the Chicago Bull. The Chicago Bull. I got some friends in Chicago. They tend to drink beer for coffee, as it's all fair and level war. Will Barton agrees to a 2-year, $32 million contract with the Denver Nuggets. I guess he signed his contract at 4:20 p.m., if that makes sense to you. All fair and level war, Colorado. Alec Burks agreed to a 3-year, $30 million contract with the New York Knicks. So he's going to have a bit more money to buy some exterminator services for the rats that roll around those high-rise buildings in New York City. The great Mike Conley. Remember Mike Conley? Sometimes he's on the men. Mike Conley agrees to a 3-year, $72,500,000 contract with the Utah Jazz. I guess that's a lot of jazz music he can buy with $72 million. Torrey Craig agrees to a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Indiana Pacers, and he's upset because he said $10 million. I had that when I was in college. But it's all fair and love and war. And then you have Jamal Green, a 2-year, $17 million contract with the Denver Nuggets. Tim Hardaway Jr., remember his dad did his thing back in the day? Tim Hardaway Jr. agrees to a 4-year, $74 million contract with the Dallas Mavericks. The great Luka Doncic doing his thing. So Cuban has a lot of money with $74 million. Can't confirm or deny. Mark Cuban said it was supposed to be $47 million, but sometimes people are dyslexic. Was it just a few $1 million off? Someone thought it was $47 million. No, they said $74 million. Be careful who writes the name on the contract. The great Kyle Lowry, again, talking about him, $90 million with the Miami Heat. T.J. McConnell agrees to a 4-year, $35.2 million contract with the Indiana Pacers. And it seems like people feel sorry for him. It's like, all you got is $35 million? You must be doing something wrong, man. Now, that's a lot of money. The great Doug McDermott agrees to a 3-year, $42 million contract with the San Antonio Spurs. Nerlens Noel agrees to a 3-year, $32 million contract with the New York Knicks. Kelly Olynyk agrees to a 3-year, $37 million contract with the Detroit Pistons. And again, I'm thinking the guy that made the most headlines today, the great Chris Paul, I call him King Chris Paul, with the Phoenix Suns, could be worth up to $120 million over 4 years. That's just $30 million, not just 30. That's a lot of money. I want that kind of money rolling through my bank account also. You hear that, God? You hear that? Matthew 7-7. Cameron Payne agrees to a 3-year, $19 million contract with the Phoenix Suns. And then the great Duncan Robinson agrees to a 5-year, $90 million contract with the Miami Heat. That's a lot of money. Not as much as Chris Paul, but it's all fair in love and war. Also, based on some news out there, Kawhi Leonard, contract status, player option, Chris Paul, the player option, Kyle Lowry, unrestricted. There's a lot of things that happen in the world of NBA basketball. So if everybody's understanding what makes this game so exciting, it's the fact that you can be in a small market, you can be in a big market. The money follows the talent. And oftentimes people want to play in a big market because that's where the talent is. But money's going to follow the talent. If you have a chance to play some NBA basketball, you just, you lace up your sleeves and you do what you can to become a part of that. And I just really appreciate seeing all of these great players that make their dreams come true. Like the great Walt Disney said, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. And I really appreciate that Disney song. A little bit about Charlton also. Been doing this. First got my national broadcast start in 1996. It was with Sports Talk USA. And it was out of Dallas, Texas. And so I've loved this sport for many, many years. And I've always thanked my mother. She used to send me newspapers when I was in college. She always sent me the local newspaper, the sports section. And that's before they had Google. So from people say, why would your mom send you the newspaper? Well, they didn't have Google. I mean, I didn't go to school that long ago, but still, technology's changed a lot. As I always say, welcome to the show. This is Big C Sports coming to you Monday through Friday at 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Available to millions on podcast radio all over the world, actually. And I've been doing sports broadcasts for 30 years. Experienced TV and radio. I think it's the best world sports show and talking sports entertainment in the universe. All fair in love and war. So I really pay homage to my mother, who would always send me some information on sports. And now I'm doing it live all the time. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause in the words of the former California governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can find Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon and Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. I love this next segment, sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on your game. Proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I love what's going on in baseball's power rankings. Big C Sports power rankings of Major League Baseball. Start with team number 30. The pitch, get deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. All fair and level war. Coming in at number 30 for Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're headed for the #1 pick Tuesday, but with a huge night in Phoenix. The great Madison Bob Gardner faces off against Johnny Cueto and the Giants. As Gabe, if you're reading this, think about this. Buster Posey is actually in the lineup. That good a boy is doing his thing. Future Hall of Famer for the San Francisco Giants. Number 29, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana, Scarface. The women love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. the Baltimore Orioles, the only interesting question remains in their season. Will they promote top prospect Adley Rutschman before the end of the year and let the catcher get his feet wet? It's all fair in Leavenworth. As we move over to the state of Pennsylvania, the pitch hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. A home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. It's all fair in Leavenworth. The Pirates, when you think about it, they didn't move the needle much. Dealing some veterans like Adam Frazier and Tyler Anderson, them good old boys, they know they have some work cut out for them. But avoiding a full sale, which would have to be included, a trade with All-Star Brian Reynolds, all fair in Leavenworth. Number 27, we move over to the state of Missouri, and actually not going to move to the state of Missouri. I'm gonna change it up I'm gonna do a switch hitter right at the last moment. Instead of going to Missouri, I'm gonna bring up the Texas Rangers down to the state of Texas, and the pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. I love paying homage to the great Tony Montana of Scarface, but when you have Joey Gallo gone, the most remarkable player is, you really don't know, but Adolis Garcia, they're regularly drawing about 20,000 fans at the brand new ballpark, and everybody says you build a new ballpark like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Not necessarily so. They're not coming in Texas. The Rangers, a great J.R. Ewing ballpark is what they should call it. Also, now we'll move over to Missouri. In the beautiful city of Kansas City at Kauffman Field, the pitch hit deep. Right field, back to the wall, home run! Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana of Scarface. And the Kansas City Royals, they know that women love the long ball and men love to hit it deep, but they've consistently had, pretty tight outfield. They have Whit Merrifield, who turns 33 next year, and better hopes that they're going to be building. It's going to accelerate. There's a veteran, a still useful player, and they have a lot of stuff going on in Kansas City. So I wish them nothing but the best. If you think about number 25, going to move to the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota Twins, the pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, Tony Montana says. The women love the long ball, and men love to hit it deep, all fair in Leavenworth. The reminder that sometimes it's better to get your business done before the final hours. They ended up holding a shortstop, Andrelton Simmons, for some reason, and Taylor Rogers got hurt during the deadline week. That cost them one of the best trade clips. It's all, just part of you take a gamble in sports if you don't trade people, or sometimes you hold on too long. I want to go to the city of beautiful Denver, Colorado, the state of Colorado, and Rocky Mountains. The Colorado Rockies is baffling, really. The pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Say hello to my little friend. The women love the long ball, men love to hit the deep. But you think about it, there's no reason why Trevor Story should still be in Denver. The shortstop is not very happy about it. They're going to come away with really little for Story and Nolan Arenado. It's kind of a bad thing for them, especially with the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants. So maybe they're not trying to win. I mean, when you got three teams in your division that are among the top 10 in baseball, it doesn't really matter what you do. They're going to have to figure that out, and they're going to have to figure it out soon. I want to take it to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. They just won the World Series just 2 years ago. The pitch hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. Them good old boys, they know that women love the long ball and men love to hit deep. They did pretty well in terms of acquiring prospects, but that's not the most important thing going forward. That would be signing Juan Soto as Scott Boras' client to a long-term deal. Good luck with that. It's all fair in Leavenworth. I want to take you to another state. The Motown is the state of Michigan. Used to be GM, proud. The boxing capital, Joe Louis Town, the Bad Boys. The Detroit Lions never won a Super Bowl. But the pitch hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. All fair in Leavenworth. They say the women love the long ball and men love to hit deep. The Detroit Tigers, there wasn't much for them to do at the deadline, but their fans probably aren't paying attention to that anyway. They won only 11-17 to give some hope. The brighter days are ahead. They keep saying that for the football team, and they keep hoping that brighter days are ahead, but I don't know if brighter days are ahead. But it's all fair in love and war. If you don't like watching games for the Detroit Tigers, all you got to do is drive over to Illinois and watch the Windy City, where the Harry Carey used to say, "Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd." All fair in love and war. The great Harry Carey. The pitch. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. It's all fair in love and war. They said the men love hit the deep and the women love the long balls. All fair in love and war. The great Harry Carey no longer singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," but some positive vibes for the Cubs fans, even though the White Sox are the best team in Chicago right now. But they watched Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez depart, all homered with their new teams. They all hit a home run the same day when they got out of town. That doesn't make any sense for the Cubs fans who've been so supportive of the Cubs for over 100 years. But you know, in sports, you move people around because you feel like you have to do that in order to stay competitive. But the guys that get rid of, they all went hit deep over the weekend. All fair and level wide. I want to take you down to the beautiful state of Florida, where you got to be careful of alligators. They're not cats for some of you guys out of the South trying to tame alligators. I know some guys that actually tried to tame alligators. You have a better luck trying to tame marlins. All fair and level war. The pitch. Hit deep. Center field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The great Tony Montana. He was actually out of Florida. If you ever watched the movie Scarface, kind of gruesome. When he says, "Say hello to my little friend," he was hitting in the... Okay, you got to watch it. If you need me to explain what that was, "Say hello to my little friend." That's when he was emptying the chamber. You don't want to say hello to that fan, but you do want to knock the ball over the fence. All fair in love and war. So the Florida Marlins, the Miami Marlins, they call them now, they won World Series when they were called the Florida Marlins. That's a clue. Now they're called the Miami Marlins. Invite the whole state in, not just the city of Miami. But they play it well against some of the National League's best teams this year. And the future appears very bright. They have 3 young contributors coming in the rotation next year and could add 6. You have Sixto Sanchez and Lorado to the group. It's all fair and level war. I want to take you out to the most beautiful state in the United States of America, called California. Former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. And oftentimes when people go down to Southern California and they go to Disneyland, they're going to see a mouse, not the mouse that you find in New York City. This is a different kind of mouse. The mouse in California has roller coasters, and it's a big mouse called Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. But the great Shohei Ohtani, he's made it more popular to even make a pit stop, hit the brakes on the highway, hitting the brakes, and back it up off that Interstate 5 to go over to Angel Stadium or Disneyland. But the only hope of making noise down the stretch was adding starting and pitching to boost a lineup that soon will have both Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in the middle of it. If they can do it, it's all fair and level where I really look forward to what's going on down in Anaheim. I want to take you to another state called Indiana. Remember the great Michael Jackson? "I'm going back to Indiana. Indiana, here I come." Okay, no, your speakers did not have a blowout. That was just me and my 3 hours of sleep. It's all fair in level war. The pitch. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and the men love to hit deep. It's all fair in level war. When you think about the great teams of Major League Baseball, I just wanted to change up, if some of you caught what I just did. The Cleveland Indians, they're in Cleveland. And I did the thing of Indiana because Indiana, they don't have Major League Baseball team. But Cleveland, obviously, they're getting rid of the name Cleveland Indians. They're going to become the Cleveland Guardians. And I think that's a good thing for the fans, that they're going to call them the Cleveland Guardians. Just for Native American respect. Everybody has their own opinion about that. But the pitch, hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball. The men love to hit deep. With the Cleveland Guardians, they haven't changed the name yet, but they're one of those teams stuck in the middle. They have no shot at catching the White Sox, who are just doing their thing under Tony La Russa, until 4 much better rosters in the wild card race. It might take time for them to build up a team, but the Guardians doing the right thing, in my opinion, by changing the name, just to be in respect to a lot of the Native Americans. I want to take you to the beautiful city of St. Louis in the state of Missouri, the home of the Arch Gateway to the West. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run! Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep in the beautiful city of St. Louis. They had just one of those stranger deadlines, adding veteran lefties. It was John Lister and A.J. Happ to the rotation. Neither's been very good this season, so it's hard to see how that move helps them catch the Brewers or the Padres. It's all fair and level. We want to take it to the city of brotherly love, where everybody hates everybody. That's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's all fair and level. Where the Phillies, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. You suck, you suck. That's what they say to their own players, even when they hit a home run. The Philly fans tell their players they suck. All fair and level. Where they smartly added the great Kyle Gibson to the rotation, and that's going to make it better for that team to have a chance to make up some ground in the East this week. It's all fair and level. Where they host the first-place Mets over the weekend, and then so they're going to boo whether you win or lose. That's just the way people are in Philly. I guess they like the Philly cheesesteak, and it causes a little bit of congestion in the intestines. They should try the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meat, and what I understand, a lot of guys feel a lot happier after they eat the Big C burger. It doesn't leave that extra bowel in the bottom of your backside, if that makes any sense to you. I want to take you out to the beautiful Northwest, the city of Seattle, and the state of Washington. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana. They know that the women love the long ball and men love to hit deep. The Seattle Mariners are doing their thing this year. When you think about it, it doesn't really sound like a playoff contender, except the record's pretty decent right now, 23-10 in one-run games and 9-2 in extra innings. As long as they keep winning close ones, they're going to actually hang around for the wild card race, even though Seattle's all about football and the Seahawks, and they don't have NBA basketball since the Supersonics left town and went down to OKC. But this is a team that's going to give the fans of Seattle a chance to come out and cheer, and they can really use them cheering when it comes to the world of baseball. I want to take it down south to the city that Martin Luther King built. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana, down in Florida. But they know in Atlanta, the women love the long ball, and men love their deep fried chicken. And they like it deep. Hit deep. They put that chicken deep, if that makes sense to you. They love to hit it deep down in the city of Atlanta. But you think about what the Braves have. They have a very good baseball team. They have a young team. The only team in Major League Baseball with a positive run differential and a losing record. It's not like they're just above the line. They've outscored opponents by 49 runs and reloaded at the deadline, but they've been unable to put together the kind of winning streak that could threaten the Mets. And obviously when Acuna Jr. went down, maybe it dampened the spirits a little bit. It's all fair and level work. Coming back from the Big C pause, we're going to bring you number 13 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings in the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let it be back. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow Big C Sports. And all over the world, I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. You better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, "Let there be light." Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up from all over the world, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. Take you to the beautiful city of Ohio. Actually, the state of Ohio and the city of Cincinnati. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. Coming in at number 13 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. You think about it, they're sneaking up on the Padres, who have just about a 4-game lead in the race for the second wild card spot. If Joey Votto keeps banging, then they might catch San Diego, because Tatis is injured now, has that little hitch in his giddy up in his shoulder. They're trying to run through. We'll see what's going to happen as they get through the month of August. But Tatis in San Diego. He has to get better in order for the Padres to hold them off. I want to take you over to the beautiful state of New York City, where they've never seen a rat that they did not welcome into Madison Square Garden. It's all fair and love and war. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit the deep. Be careful of those man-eaters in New York City. Be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. A friend of mine told me that, my friend Darnold told me about that, or told some other guys about that. All's fair in love and war. But you think about the New York Mets. The great Jacob deGrom doing his thing. He's also on the mend. They traded for Javier Baez, but still had a rough weekend. Jacob deGrom had a setback with his pitching arm. That laser beam, it's like a Jedi Knight. If that Jedi Knight loses that lightsaber, then sometimes you can't throw the ball across the base as fast as you normally do. But think about it. The organization, they did not come up with a deal with top pick Kumar Rocket. Seemingly the deal, it would have been a steal in the draft, in my opinion. But they need Jacob deGrom, because they're in a good spot right now, the Mets. But they got to have that good boy healthy if they're going to have any swing at making postseason, making noise in the postseason. Here's another place, the Big Apple, maybe the best franchise in Major League Baseball history-wide, 27 World Championships. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend and take me out to the ball game. The women love the long ball, and men love the hit deep. It's all fair in New York City. And when you think about the Yankees, they're the staple of Major League Baseball, whether they win or not. But the starting outfield on Friday, from left to right, Giancarlo Stanton, 6'6", Joey Gallo, 6'5", and Aaron Judge at 6'7". And they have a team. They've been making some noise. I know the Yankees were going nowhere fast, it seemed, but they got rid of those rats, and they started to get rid of those apples. They start eating the Big C burger. They know it's a tasty burger. They know it comes with exotic meats. And unlike some of the sandwich places in New York City, we didn't have to give 50% of the profits. It's all fair in love and war where you don't have to give some good old boys 50% of the profits. But the Yankees, mark my words, they are starting to do their thing. They are starting to come back and play good baseball. I'm talking baseball. This city is excited for baseball with the Mets and the Yankees. Going to round out Big C's top 10 in Major League Baseball. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The Toronto Blue Jays actually going to start playing some games back up in Canada. So I guess the country of Canada, Prime Minister Trudeau is going to let some players back in, some teams back in. And they've been playing their games, doing their thing down in Buffalo. But when you think about it, the deadline, they're 7th in Major League Baseball in run differential. Jose Barrios, 6 shutout innings in his debut, might be able to put them over the top of the wild card race. Love when we have Canada involved in Major League Baseball playoffs. It's an exciting time of the year. We just finished with the NBA playoffs. The great Milwaukee Bucks and King Giannis Antetokounmpo doing his thing. All fair and love and war, wishing them nothing but the best. And I'm sure they're very grateful to the state of New York as they were hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Number 9 in Big C's top 10, the pitch. Hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend at the Oakland Coliseum, the Oracle Coliseum. The Oakland A's, one of the smallest payrolls in Major League Baseball, but they are doing their thing. They have sparse crowds, but this team can play some baseball. It's not about having a big stadium. Down in Texas, the Rangers built a brand new state-of-the-art stadium. They average about 20,000 fans. The Oakland A's, they don't have a brand new state-of-the-art stadium. The Coliseum was built in the 60s. They average about 18,000 fans. So why do you want to build $1 billion on a stadium to get another 2,000 fans? I mean, just look at the boys in Texas. It's not the stadium, it's the team. The Oakland A's had a sneaky good deadline, headlined by the Sterling Mart edition. When you think about it, after 2 with the Padres, their next 9 are against the middle. When you think about it, I don't want to call them the Indians. I want to call them the Cleveland Guardians and last place Rangers, who built that beautiful ballpark down in Arlington, Texas. They can't fill it up. They get about 20,000, and it holds well over 40,000. It's time for one of their patented second half runs, and the Oakland A's would do that. The Bay Area will most likely have 2 teams in the playoffs. I think the Giants are going to win the World Series. That's just a feeling that I have. They've done it before when they won 3 in 1 decade, and it looks like they're in If you see what they did, we'll preview them coming up on the end of Big C's Major League Baseball top 30 teams. Number 8, man, I say this with a little bit of pause because Fernando Tatis Jr. was injured going into third base. It was a weird slide. A guy with his talent, he slid so hard that he actually ended up on the other side of third base. And that's where he hurt his arm. So the way rehab is, I'm a little bit paused to put them at number 8, but I'm going to do it anyway. The season basically, when you think about it, the pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends, the great Tony Montana. And the women love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, especially down in San Diego, where some of the women have no clothes. It's all fair and love and war, but it's a true thing. Are they wearing thong bikinis at a baseball game? No wonder Tatis was missing the back when he was sliding in to third base. But the season basically depends on how the great Fernando Tatis Jr., how his shoulder feels in the next couple of weeks. He's on the IL, and surgery is a possibility. Don't want to see that good boy have surgery. Let him tough it out. Hopefully, the NL's most exciting player can avoid that until the offseason. And I want to take you to the Green Monster across the country in beautiful Massachusetts. The pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball. The men love to hit deep at Boston's Fenway Park. A historic baseball venue. You got to see Fenway Park. Has to be on everybody's bucket list. They had a relatively quiet deadline, but they will have a huge addition soon. And ace Chris Sale is finishing his rehab from Tommy John surgery and should be back in the rotation in the next couple of weeks. That looks very good for the Boston Red Sox. When that good a boy, he's a flamethrower. They're going to need him. It's because this baseball in the AL is really tough. I want to take it over to Milwaukee, where them good boys are having a good time still trying to clean up the streets of Milwaukee because they were celebrating the Bucks, the World Championship game, beating the Phoenix Suns. The pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. It's all fair and level war. The Milwaukee Brewers, the lowest ERA among qualified starters in the National League. It doesn't belong to DeGrom, the great Jacob DeGrom doesn't belong to him. Grossman and Buehler, it belongs to Freddie Peralta, a 25-year-old with a 2.17 ERA. Opponents are batting just 128 against that good old boy. They may as well stay in the dugout, batting 128, all fair and level war, and that gives the Brewers a chance to at least flirt with the World Series. They're going to flirt with the World Series the same way a lot of women flirted with these NBA guys that became millionaires at the NBA draft back in Brooklyn last week, where we brought it to you live on Big C Sports with DC Live versus All Fair and Level War. I want to take you to the Windy City. It's not Harry Carey's Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but it's the Chicago White Sox, the great Tony La Russa. The White Sox, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. They say the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. And great Tony La Russa came out to defend one of his players. He was running as fast as he could, and it took him one day to get from the dugout to the mound to try to defend one of his batters. All fair level war. The great Tony La Russa still doing his thing. Craig Kimbrel and Liam Hendricks combined for 3 strikeouts while closing out a 2-1 win on Sunday. That's the most frightening when you think about a late game duo in the game. The White Sox, them good boys, Chicago's second favorite team in baseball, they're doing their thing. The great Tony La Russa, really appreciate him standing up for his players. Coming down to number 4, the final 4, Big C's Major League Baseball top 10. The pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana. When you think about what's going on, the Tampa Bay Rays made the biggest statement of the weekend, sweeping the Red Sox to move past them in the first place of the American League East. That's a big statement. Tampa was in the World Series last year. I thought they were going to beat the Dodgers until they inexplicably pulled a pitcher that could not be hit. And the Dodgers sent thank you notes to the franchise for going with analytics as opposed to going with your gut, which is how a lot of things are solved. A lot of officers they solve crimes with their gut. A lot of men and women, they use their gut instincts because it's how God speaks to them. The pitch hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Dusty Baker. And the Houston Astros, they're doing their thing And the Astros showed off a really deep lineup at Oracle Park in beautiful downtown San Francisco. If you haven't seen beautiful Oracle Park in downtown San Francisco, I was there when it opened, the place that Barry Bonds built. They pay homage to McCovey Cove. It's all fair in love and war. But the Astros, they took game 1 on Friday, and the Giants came back and got game 2 and 3 over the weekend. But over the weekend, it could soon get better. Alex Bergman is on a rehab assignment after missing 6 weeks with a quad injury. I love baseball. Coming down to the final 2. I love LA. Yeah, a lot of people love California. They wish they all could be California girls. Our boys, our girls and boys, all fair, 11 word, don't ask, don't tell. It's all fair in La La Land. The Dodgers, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The girls love the long ball, and men love hitting the deep. It's all fair in love and war. The Dodgers made the biggest move of the deadline by adding the great Max Scherzer. It seems like the rich get richer. It's all fair in love and war, and Trey Turner, and then they went out and lost to the Diamondbacks in extra innings. But that's been their story. It's the most talented roster in National League Baseball, but every time you think they might catch the Giants, they come up short, because the Giants are a major baseball team in a major market in San Francisco, California. It's the best ballpark, in my opinion, in the universe. All fair and love and war. The pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. The splash in McCovey Cove, and people are all diving over the rails to jump into the bay to try to grab a baseball. They don't understand that you could just buy them at the souvenir shop. It's all fair and love and war. But it really is the most beautiful ballpark in downtown San Francisco, just off the Embarcadero, and it's beautiful. It's right by about a mile from the Bay Bridge. It's just a great place to take a family to see a baseball game. And think about an easy choice for the top spot once again. I'm picking the San Francisco Giants to win the World Series, or at least the National League this year. And once again, they took 2 from 3 from the Dodgers, and they did the same against the Astros. They also added a very happy Chris Bryant to their lineup as he the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friend. All fair and love and war. I really think when you look at baseball, the Giants are doing their thing. I just know that that's a baseball team that has the championship pedigree they had when they went to 3 championships in a decade, and they're loaded again. There's something about chemistry that they have, and the way they pay homage to the great Willie Mays Hayes. I call him that, Willie Mays Hayes, from the movie, the baseball movie, but the great Say Hey Kid, also Barry Bonds. There's just so much to be able to enjoy in beautiful San Francisco when you watch baseball. So I appreciate being able to talk about the Giants and covering the Giants. I really do believe that they will be in the World Series. They're down in Arizona taking on the Diamondbacks today. It's all fair and love and war. I want to bring up some thoughts on Big C Sports Podcast, because I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. And I know there's something that everybody is thinking about, and it's the world of broadcast. It's near and dear to my heart because I love the sports business, and there's a lot of good things coming to Big C Sports in 2021. Thank God for that. Matthew 7:7, ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be open unto you. And I want to just give out a little scripture, because I think a lot of young people, they need to know it's okay to ask for God. It's not, you don't have to be afraid to ask and pray. A lot of people say we stand up and cheer the national anthem, but sometimes people don't want to pray. And it's Ephesians 3:20. My pastor talks about it all the time. And I want young kids to think about this as you're trying to see how you make your dreams come true. It's called Ephesians 3:20. Now, it says, now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh within us. I love just championing, my parents when they talked about God. My father, his father was a pastor, and I love championing that, because there's a lot of things that happen in my life that you have to speak things into existence. And as the sports business is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there are commentators making millions of dollars every year, and they're covering sports. And they're going to be some of those well-known broadcasters, as Big C Sports will also have the chance to cover more NFL football, that are going to be talking with Charlton of Big C Sports in the 2021 season. So I want young kids to realize, don't wait until you see things and then start giving God praise. Give God praise, and then you will see those things, if that makes sense to you. The great Jim Rome also going to sit with Charlton of Big C Sports. That's going to be something that we talk about this year. And seeing how, if you think about it, there's so many people that want to get into this business. He's earned a lot of what he's done over the years in TV and radio as a commentator. And I believe I'm going to have, it's still in the talks, former NBC Sports analyst, the great Bob Costas, reportedly makes about $7 million a year and has accrued a net worth of about $45 million in broadcast. He's going to sit with Big C Sports with Charlton this year as we talk about more sports. Also, do you believe in miracles? Yes, I do. He's also a Californian. The great Al Michael, 74 years old, has a net worth about $20 million. I'm sure he doesn't brag about his net worth. He just, he probably has a lot more of that he doesn't tell people about. But according to a lot of people out there, he's the greatest broadcaster out there, maybe 74 years old, still doing his thing. And he does Sunday Night Football with the great Chris Collinsworth for over a decade, going to be sitting down with Big C Sports. And then there's a lot of other people in the sports business that I appreciate that are part of broadcast. And I want young people to think about it. You can do anything you want to do, but you gotta rise and shine. Ephesians 3:20, he's able to do exceedingly above all you can ask or think. But you gotta speak it into existence. Sitting down this year with the host of Charlton with Big C Sports, Jim Rome, CBS Sports. He's a host CBS Sports Radio. The Jim Rome Show reportedly has a net worth of $75 million. Rome signed a long-term deal with CBS Radio in 2017, and he's going to sit down with Charlton, the Big C Sports, coming up this year in football. One of the mentors that I've liked watching over the years, especially doing football and then some Olympic competition, the great Bob Costas is going to be sitting down with Big C Sports, with Charlton, the Big C Sports, later this year. Some people that I know in the industry making that happen. And one of the most revered analysts in the industry, former NBC Sports analyst Bob Costas, has emerged as a household name in sports since the beginning of his career in 1970. He's hosted nearly every sporting event imaginable, from the Olympics to the Kentucky Derby. He's 67 years old and still rising and shining, doing his thing. Makes about $7 million a year. Accrued a net worth of about $45 million. Has stayed with NBC Sports for decades. And in January 2019, the network mutually parted ways. After he questioned NFL concussion protocol, that I don't know why they got rid of him. He was just trying to tell the truth. All fair and love and war. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that are happening with Big C Sports. I talked with my business partner. We're talking about the $6 billion it's up for grabs in this industry. DC Live just had her on last week, covered the NBA draft, and she talked about a $620 million industry. I just want to say this because I'm telling young people, you gotta do things first before you see them. Do things first. College football, college basketball, and Monsters host Jim Nantz reportedly makes about $5 million a year. Going to be having conversation with the Jim Nantz later this year on Big C Sports Podcast, sitting down with the Charlton. From NCAA basketball to PGA golf tours, Jim Nantz has covered it all. He lives down on the coast in California, down by Pebble Beach. He's a Charlotte native and a member of the men's golf team at the University of Houston. So it's no surprise that he's been calling Masters Tournament for CBS Sports since 1989. And he's been doing his thing. Really appreciate, what he's done in the world of sports broadcast. Also, it's like, I appreciate anyone rising and shining in this business. I appreciate the great Stephen A. Smith. Current deal has him paying between $8 to $10 million. And he's opened a lot of doors for people. As you notice on First Take, Stephen A. Smith has let a lot of people sit down and let their time to rise and shine appear. Oftentimes you can open the door, but you can't make people walk through. And so I really appreciate that. I followed some old friends of mine that I know in the broadcast world that know very well the great Dan Patrick. Maybe have a sit down with Dan Patrick joining, Big C Sports later this year. And never used to see Dan Patrick so enthusiastic as he's been lately. But there's a lot of things that are coming to Big C Sports. He hosted Sports Center of ESPN from 1989 to 2006, leaving the network as a free agent. And whatever they make, Big C Sports is right there, going to be a household name this year, thanks to God's providence. and a lot of goodwill that has come. So I'm telling young people, you don't have to tell everything, but you don't wait until you see things to speak it into existence. You speak things into existence, you speak things that be not as though they were, and then it comes into existence. I think about Joe Buck, reportedly about $15 million range. His father was a great broadcaster that helped him get his foot in the door. My son Malcolm just let me know that Howard is actually returning to the Los Angeles Lakers, so thank you, Malcolm, for that. And that's going to be good for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know why he ever left, but they need their broad shoulders. So thank you, Malcolm, for that. Really appreciate that. My son's going to be doing some active sports with his university and pumping some college athletes on to Big C Sports as cameo, as I'm going to be reaching out to I won't say every college, but major colleges around the country to give their media department, which is where I got my start. Bill Seamster gave me a chance when I was in college to set up all the media for people that came onto the campus. Just like now, I produced, I filmed, I edited, I broadcasted, I did the interviews. I had to cut and do all that stuff. I had to do the lighting, the microphone check 1, 2. It was me doing that. And I'm doing it now on a worldwide platform. I was just doing it in college. So with my son's help, I'm reaching out to young people, as I ask all black men to do and white men too. I want to open doors for student athletes all over this country. A lot of them want to know, how do I get my foot in the door? You're going to be calling into Big C Sports, and you're going to put Big C Sports on all of your social media for all the colleges around the country, and maybe some of the high schools too. And all I'm saying, if you want to have a chance to get your word out there, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to rise and shine and do your thing. You can do it on Big C Sports, because God said, if you love me, feed my sheep. I'm going to open that door for a lot of young kids, because my son Malcolm showed me how to do that, and my daughter Daisy, she started that a couple of years ago when she helped me at a coaches conference in Nevada. And she came and worked with me, and we stayed at the Western Sierra Resort, used to be the MGM Casino, and she helped me do that. And because of that, I just want them to know I'm going to be like an eagle flies high above the chickens. An eagle flies high above the fray, but you got to spread your wings in order to fly high above the fray. So you gotta have the ability to step out there in faith. Had a little fire alarm go off. It's all fair and level war. The show must go on. But as I close, I'm going to reach out to college campuses, because I want to find the next person. They have a show called How to Be a Millionaire, or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Well, I know there's a lot of people that want to get into broadcast. And as I talk with some TV producers and some radio producers, they say, Charlton, why don't you reach out and give young people an opportunity to grow and see what it's like to host their own show. So I'm going to start having where I can't guarantee that I can get everybody on, but I want young kids at Big C Sports to your social media and let people know that you also are going to be able to be on a live sports podcast as we cover NFL football and college football coming up in the fall of 2021. And you'll be able to come on and do your little 60-second stand-up to let the universe know what you can do. But you got to do it by rising and shining. You can't do it by being afraid. So for people that want to know how you get in there, tell everybody you know about Big C Sports. Blast us out on social media. And I appreciate everybody that has the desire to do that. There's always kind of a stage fright for some people. I'm not afraid to talk in front of where there's 100,000 people or where there's one person. But you got to just focus on what you're doing. So I'm expanding the platform this year. Going to be bringing you some live interviews with NFL players and maybe some college football coaches too. But I want to really reach out to young people and help them start their own thing. It's not about me. God's opened so many doors for me because people have seen my talent. Again, I'm not scripted. I don't have a microphone in my ear telling me what to say. I don't have a producer telling me what to say. No one's writing my script. No one's giving me stats. I do the production. I do the editing. I do the sound equipment. I do the microphone checks. I do the research. And there are times when my partner Big C would come on and do his research. I've never missed a day. And I know that I want to open up doors for young people and tell them that you don't have to hope that somebody's going to give you an opportunity. You got it with Big C Sports. You may not get that on other platforms, but I think you're going to see more people doing that as I want to reach out. And that's part of who I am. Someone's always opened the door for me. especially my beautiful mother. She's always said, you can do anything. Just ask God for favor and do it. You rise and shine. So for young people, we have the Olympics, and people are winning medals in the Olympics. You have the Jamaican team, the relay team, and the 100-meter team. They are doing phenomenal things, and even Flojo's record was broken over the weekend, as well as great Usain Bolt. So I don't want to give away too much. I know people want to record things, but they can always go back and watch that. But you will see more of Big C Sports Podcast. You sit down with the Charlton, sitting down with some of the more well-known broadcasters in the universe, as Big C Sports is also becoming a household name. We just brought you Disney on with Disney last week. We had NBA basketball player on last week. And, with Zariah Matthews, Disney, Lawrence Thompson, the NBA. I have August Wesley, who's actually at the Olympics in Tokyo and in Japan on Big C Sports. There's a lot of good things. Dave Braves, who actually played football in Europe during the war, a veteran, was on Big C Sports. So a lot more people are coming. I'm getting them all lined up for this beautiful fall season. I just wish everybody the best. And don't be afraid to let your star shine. Remember, Ephesians 3:20, he's able to do abundantly above all that you could ask or think. You can follow Big C Sports all the time. If we say back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. And he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? As I always say, Big C Sports, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe? You're going to hear household names that are coming on Big C Sports Podcast. I've already talked to some of the biggest people in entertainment because they know the name. And I've never missed a day. I don't sleep. If you want something, go make it happen. Don't worry about anybody out there. You got to fly like an eagle. Don't be on the ground with the chickens. They tend to get up for dinner. Every Monday through Friday, you can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to a lot of the Olympic athletes that are actually following Big C Sports. Thank you to August Wesley and the Olympic Committee that's following Big C Sports Podcast. I appreciate everybody that's been a part of what I've done over the years with my partner Big C and my son and my daughter and everybody else that's contributed to being the arc in life. You got to have an arc in your life. Everyone needs an arc. It's called ARK. Like Noah had an ark. Everyone needs an arc. Every Monday through Friday at 5 or 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, iHeartRadio Podcast. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to the Olympic champions. As my mama always says, you always rise and shine. We thank you. There's never an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No one ever should have to deal with that garbage on their own. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.